morning, good afternoon to you all. Welcome to the session on Microsoft Azure Fundamentals, Microsoft Azure AZ 900 certification program. And first of all, wishing you a happy 2021. I wish all your dreams comes true this year. It's me, Bhaskar Manogaran. I hold 12 years of experience into IT. I started my career as an hardware engineer, followed by desktop support, system administration, and so on. And I'm currently serving as a technical training manager in a private firm, and I have trained at least 11,000 professionals globally on virtualization and cloud platform. My areas of expertise resides on virtualization, that is on VMware, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, IoT, certified ethical hacking, VM backup and replication, cloud security, cyber security, and so on. Before we move on, I would like to get your expectation from this training so that I can keep tracking. So I need a random introduction. I request at least 5 of you can go ahead and share a random introduction, and I'll keep tracking with your expectations here. Yes, so you can unmute yourself one by one, and I want any 5 of you can randomly introduce along. You can also share your expectation from this training.
Hi, hello. Can able
Yes,
to hear me?
please. Yes, I of course. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, myself Chandrasekhar,
Yes, Chandra.
and I'm working in Accenture apart from 6.5 years in finance
Mm-hmm.
and accounts F&A.
Okay.
But the thing is, I'm not satisfied with that profile at what I am doing. So I'm thinking that going for technical.
Mm-hmm.
So my expertise is just I want to be an expertise in this. Just I want to know what are the things I have to learn and what are the basics and what are the second of the things I need to learn. Because coming to technical, I don't know, but I'm very willing to learn the subject because
Okay.
whatever it may be, just I want to understand the concepts and how
Mm-hmm.
to introduce and things how it works and all. If I get to know, then it will be very useful to me because the thing I research myself because no one helped me in this.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to explore in this field. I am very much awaiting for this.
Okay. Hi, Chandra. Thanks for joining us today. Definitely, yes. This session it's gonna way up, give a path to you to kickstart your cloud journey. And if you ask me to start technical space, you need to get started from hardware, operating system, any applications, one or two virtualization platforms, and then you got to land into cloud. This is how the career graph or
Okay.
the IT path. Um, you can also start your cloud journey, but you need to brush up on your basics knowledge on networking, storage, backup, security, monitoring, and so on. Okay,
Okay.
there are programs are available. Additionally, I do have a YouTube channel for dummies. Anyone who
Okay.
want to kickstart their journey on cloud, they can go and kickstart from this. I'll show you my YouTube channel so that you can subscribe to this.
Okay.
So this is my YouTube channel. You can Google it. I mean, you can navigate through YouTube. It's called Cloud4Green Technologies. Here I have kept a channel where you have multiple playlist. Where the one which I specifically mentioning here is VMware.
VMware. Okay. Last
Yeah.
one.
So yeah, here you can start learning through this. Here I have covered basics of hardware, basics of virtualization, basics of networking, basics of storage. It is
Mhm.
completely free.
Okay.
I think it's around 40 plus hours of program where I have
Mhm.
segregated into 22 sections. So you can go
Okay.
through this. You will have a clue. Okay.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Additionally, I'll give a direct link so
Hmm.
that you can get started. Allow me a minute here. I won't be in a position to see your questions immediately, which you put it in the chat section, because I'm the one who is monitoring chat as well as raise hand questions. So at this time, it's more, you act like more like a viewer. Others, can you
Yes.
please mute yourself? Please mute yourself, sir. So I've just shared a link. You can make use of it. Let's move on to the expectation setting again. We were tracking the expectations. Yes, moving on to the next person.
Hi, Bhaskar. This is myself, Sujan.
Yes, please.
Yeah, currently I'm working as a NetApp storage administrator
Okay.
in HCL company.
Okay.
I'm looking for to learn Microsoft Azure. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't have any basic knowledge on this cloud, but I have
Mm-hmm.
seen few videos on YouTube how its tool was. Mapped under. So I looked into that, but I haven't seen that much. So I'm planning to jump to the cloud.
No
So
problem.
that's
No
why
problem.
I yeah.
Since you have a knowledge on NetApp storage, you would have worked on OnTab, right?
Yes, correct. So how
Okay.
it's how we can move to this Azure from storage to this? I need some basic
Okay.
knowledge on that. So that's why
No
I
problem.
joined this.
No problem.
I'm
Don't
expecting
worry.
from your end this.
Okay. Don't worry. The way the NetApp works, we call it as file level storage. Similarly, we have a
Yes.
service called file in Azure. Okay. So,
Okay.
and also we have block level storages. We call it as a blob. And if you ask me, one of the main vertices where Azure makes money is storage in cloud,
Yes.
right? So I would be discussing in detail. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, sure, Bhaskar. Thank you.
So we're gonna see how storage gonna fit in cloud and how we're gonna make use of your existing storage knowledge to learn Azure. Right. Thanks for joining. Let's move on.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Hasni Bekai. I am basically the storage specialist. I've been working on storage for almost 30 years.
Okay.
So I worked on the NetApp, the 3PAR, the EMC, the Hitachi.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment is as the storage is getting or is phasing out, so
Mm-hmm.
the next step will be the cloud, as you said, as you
Yes.
mentioned it, the storage in the cloud. I am also on the Citrix on the VMware side as well. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the only the cloud which I haven't got a clue at all, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to go back. Well, I need to go and learn a little bit on the cloud. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be my next step.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Thanks for sharing your experiences with us. Definitely, yes. Spending 20 plus years on a specific technology is a huge experience altogether. And to jump into the cloud, the knowledge which you gained over VMware, the virtualization, like software defined, and also the knowledge which you gained on app virtualization, Citrix, and your
Yeah.
storage, this definitely will add up to your cloud learning, because we do have services like web apps where it will dedicatedly speaks about PaaS services, platform as a service. And if you look in, if I am specifically discussing about virtualization, um, VMware have moved their business strategy towards VMware on different clouds. Excluding Microsoft, they have kept their services like this: VMware on AWS, VMware on Google Cloud as of now. So the one
Yeah.
option left for you is you can start the solution architecting,
Okay.
or you can also called architect technologies. Here in Azure, we have something called AZ303. You can focus on this specific certification that would really help you to land in. And this training, whatever I'm delivering today, Azure fundamentals, it's like a step one block for you to reach AZ303. Okay.
Thank you very much. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Kindly keep yourself on mute. Moving on to the next person. Yeah, is there anyone who would like to introduce yourself and share your expectation?
Hi Bhaskar, Swati this side.
Yes, Swati.
So I have experience of approx 10 plus years, and entire journey of my IT deals with the uh, EMS and NMS tools. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier I was into implementation administration, and recently I've switched into pre-sales. So in
Okay.
pre-sales, while positioning all these tools, we are also talking to different technologies. And since cloud is the buzzword and niche, one of the niche technologies these days, so that is why I'm here to understand and to
Mm-hmm.
learn more about it. So
Mm-hmm.
that is
Okay.
the key.
Right. Right. Definitely, yes. Being in pre-sales, as you know, you need to be a product expertise, and the future it's gonna be hosting services. Anything you do on the application side, or on the database, or on the compute side, you got to be proficient on cloud service offerings. Yes, this session, Azure Fundamentals, will give a path like where you can kickstart your cloud journey. In this training, I'm specifically focusing on Azure Administrator certification. It's like this AZ 104, and ultimately you're gonna touch to AZ 303. So this is what the path like. You learn AZ 900, then you target AZ 104 and AZ 303. So AZ 900, it's more like fundamentals. AZ 104, we call it as Azure Administrator Associate, and AZ 300 is Architect Technologist. Uh, so you can plan your learning in this path so that you can touch to AZ 303. Okay.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Moving on to the last person who can introduce anyone outside India would like to introduce yourself and share your expectation from this training. Anybody?
Hello, my name is Ariel.
Hey, Ariel. Yeah,
Hi, how are you?
I'm awesome, man. Thank you.
I am a storage administrator.
Mm-hmm.
I have more than 10 years working in this area. I have
Mm-hmm.
experience with Openstack
Mm-hmm.
on and about the cloud. What I
Mm-hmm.
want to understand first is that the main difference between the administrator, the Azure administrator certification, and the architect, because I can see that the administrator is that who will apply all the the
Mm-hmm.
the, the code, who will make all the
Mm-hmm.
modifications and everything, and the architect is that the person that will
Okay.
decide how
Okay.
to make it right. But
Mm-hmm.
I would like to have more in deep, clearly to understand really clear to which certification go through.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That is the main it's just to start that idea that I want to have clear, and after that, of course, that I want to go
Okay.
one certification. I don't know if architect or administrator, but
Mm-hmm.
well, of course, that the fundamental is the basic and the first step, the first block, and that is why I'm here.
Okay. Great. Sure. Definitely. Yes. Thanks for joining us today, and I keep tracking your expectations as well, and we'll learn together. So let me start sharing my screen. I got to accept a few of the participants here. Right. Thank you so much for your expectations from this training. And here I have tracked down few few things here. So definitely, yes, we're going to kickstart with the basics of cloud, and we're going to see different service offerings. If you ask me to be more specific on the storage side, yes, I'm going to speak about few services like blob storage, blob, page blob, append blob, file queue stack, and also going to speak about how this training will lay a path to do your next level certification. And I'm also going to discuss about differences between private cloud and public cloud, along with hybrid cloud, and also going to discuss about differences between multiple certifications. In fact, I do going to compare which cloud is best and why you need to learn Azure. Is there something special in Azure? So we're going to see many aspects here, and let me quickly bring this up. Right, this is what the agenda. So we're gonna kickstart with describing the cloud concepts. So then we move on to describe core Azure services, and then we're gonna learn about core solutions management tools on Azure, and general security, network security, and so on, identity governance, privacy, and then we'll last but not least we're gonna discuss about Azure cost management and service level SLAs in Azure. Okay. Right, let's understand the cloud first. For this, I'm going to show you a practical demo to you. And for this, I need your complete attention for the next 10-15 minutes. So let me bring this up. So to understand cloud, first we need to understand a physical data center. Kindly have a look into this. Let's call you have a laptop, and through this laptop you would be connected to your office network. Let's call you have connected to VPN, and you will have access to connect to all the servers. Here a server which I mentioned here, it can be a file server, mail server, exchange server, database server, application server. It can be anything, or it can be an hypervisor as well. Hypervisor means virtualization. So exchange. Can be any service for that matter, right? So how a traditional connectivity works? The traditional connectivity works like this. So your organizations would have been connected to a local area network, and then each device which you see here would be configured with a public IP address. And if you are using VPN, you would be using a private IP addresses to connect to these resources. If you are not connected to VPN, then you would be using public IP address to connect to those resources, right? And these resources should be possibilities like these resources all are located in a single data center, or they are spread over two different data centers. We use something called primary site and secondary site. We can also call the secondary site as a recovery site. In case of disaster, we used to connect to the recovery site. So how we used to connect, which resources which help us to connect? You know how VPN works. VPN works via internet. So what we used to do, we used to connect all these resources over internet. And remember, all these resources are managed by one organization. Let's take an example, IBM. IBM is an organization who manages all the resources internally, and only IBM employees would have access to manage all these resources. And for security concerned, if there isn't any external access, then it has to be set under a different LAN segments altogether, and customers should be accessing a LAN segment which was not direct impact to the production network, right? This is how a traditional setup works, right? Now we heard, or we started hearing the terminology called cloud over 15 plus years by now. If you ask me very precise, um, 18 years, and this is the 19th year you are hearing this word cloud. Okay, and what cloud does here? So if you could see here, cloud is nothing but again internet, where earlier you were used to access within organization resources. Now with the introduction of something called public cloud, I use public cloud, and also I'm going to speak about different clouds later. Here I want to put one liner. That's what I'm using a word public cloud. Here we have something called public cloud. It's nothing but again a single organization. Let's take Microsoft Azure. Single organization. Here organization provides access to these resources outside their organization. Remember earlier there is one organization, IBM, they have restricted access for external users, but in terms of public cloud, again a single organization, this time they provide access to all resources available in their infrastructure, okay, with a star or with the condition called pay as you go, which means you need to pay for the resources which you subscribe. Example, which are the resources you will subscribe? Number one, a user wants to deploy a virtual machine or a server. Let's call it as Windows Server. For a Windows Server, a user end up paying in Indian currency, it is 1.63 rupees per hour. I mean, if someone joined outside India, you can just convert in USD. It will be in like 0.0 some dollars. Okay, so in India, if you are using a server, it would be costing you 1.63 rupees per hour charges. Similarly, if someone is accessing a storage would be defined like this: a storage of 1 GB of data, that would be costing you like 6 rupees per GB per month. Similarly, there are hundreds of such services that would be provisioned to you by Microsoft Azure, and based on the subscription, based on the requirements from the business or an individual requirement, you start paying to it. So this is what like the major differences when you hear about cloud. Cloud is nothing but what? It's nothing but a single word, internet. Earlier you are using that internet in terms of a VPN which was restricted within an organization. Now the same internet is used to provision services to external users, where external users can subscribe to your service and they'll end up in paying based on their usage or the services they need. As simple as it is. Okay. If you ask me, I would like to define a cloud like this. Cloud is nothing but accessing and controlling. I'll put it in. Accessing or controlling computing resources over internet through browser or app with pay as you go subscription. For me, cloud is like this. Accessing or controlling computing resource. Here, computing resources can be a storage, it can be an firewall service, it can be a networking service, it can be an WAN optimizing service, it can be an storage optimizing service, it can be an file service, mail service, exchange service, it can be anything. Okay. And you are accessing it through a browser or an app. Browser, how you can define is resources can be accessed via browser. You can ask me a question, Bhaskar, can you access these resources? Let's take you want to access your Windows machine through browser. Is it possible? Answer is yes. You cannot have remote desktop connection in browser, but you have something called serial console access through browser. And the resource provisioning works through browser itself. Let me give a simple example. So meanwhile, there are few people in the bridge. Okay, they joined. See, I'm accessing a public cloud portal from Azure through my email address. I am a registered user with Microsoft Azure and I have just logged in with Microsoft ID. So the question is, can I control a service or deploy a machine through browser? Answer is yes. Kindly have a look into this. Virtual machine. If I wish to create a virtual machine, yes, I can create a virtual machine through browser. Okay, and also I have a provision to select a Windows machine. You can see this. There's an option called image. If I wish to deploy a Windows Server 2019, yes, I can deploy it through this portal. And so once this machine is deployed, I'm allowed to connect via a remote desktop protocol with the port 3389. Right, we're gonna come to this in later point of view, but just want to show you like how this works. And moving on. Yeah, and also you can access these resources via app. Example for accessing resources via app is your Office 365. Office 365 is also a cloud offering. We call it as SaaS, software as a service. You use Word, Excel, PowerPoint on your phone, right? Or Teams, you join this bridge. Some of you may have joined via phone. So this is again an example for accessing the services through an app. Additionally, Microsoft Azure do have an app called Azure App. Let me quickly bring this up. Sure. Kindly have a look into this. There is an app called Microsoft Azure where you can control few of the Azure resources through your phone. You know what? You can deploy a virtual machine through your phone as well. We have something called Cloud Shell where you can write and execute a script via phone. through phone, you have an option to deploy or use code in two form. One is Linux based bash script. The other one is PowerShell, Microsoft PowerShell. So you have a provision. This is a snippet like how it looks like once you install this app on your phone. Right. Okay. Yes. So the answer for cloud here is accessing or controlling computing resources. So cloud is nothing new. You are using it since long, but the way you access now it's differ, and the person who control those resources is differed. Okay, and the way you subscribe and the way you pay and the service offering is differ. As a one-liner, I would like to brief like accessing or controlling computing resources through internet over browser or an app with pay-as-you-go subscription. Right. Now I'm gonna quickly check if there is any question from any one of you. Is there any question from you? Anybody, any questions?
No.
Okay, right. Thank you. Now let's look into characteristics of cloud. Point number one, on demand. On demand means you can access these resources any place, anytime, anywhere. It's more like Netflix. As you know, to watch a newly released movie in Netflix, you need two things. Point number one, you should have a stable internet connection. And point number two, you should have a valid subscription from Netflix. It can be a monthly subscription or can be an yearly subscription, right? Same thing here in cloud as well. Let's say I am a Azure customer and I would like to deploy a virtual machine in middle of the night, and I can do it on the fly through a phone or through a laptop as long as I have a subscription called a free trial or pay as you go. Point number two, broad network access. As you know, Microsoft in the industry like over 3 decades, and all these years Microsoft started expanding their business arena across the globe, and they have global data centers at least in 24 regions. 24 regions is nothing but 24 cities or states in the world, along with 70 plus data centers. So to be more specific on this, let me quickly bring up the global presence of Azure. Yes. Kindly have a look into this. Azure data centers are spread in all continents. Okay, and if you ask me specifically in India, so since 2015, like 5+ years, Azure have 3 different data centers. One is in Pune, second was in Chennai, third was in Mumbai. Okay, you can see Azure data centers are spread over multiple regions. Regions we call it as a city or a state, and you can also see something called availability region, sorry, announced region, which means they're yet to set up a new data center here. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10 plus new regions gonna set up soon. And also there is something called availability zones. Availability zone means data centers. Azure have at least 70 plus data centers across the globe. and 24 plus regions, right? Let's come back. Resource pooling. Yeah, Azure resources are pooled from a large cluster. To make you more clear on this, let's take a user here. Let's take a user here, and he needs a virtual machine with 512 GB of RAM. And 2 petabytes of storage. Azure have a cluster as long as 16,000 servers in one single cluster. Azure have built up policies where you can have a single cluster which can expand up to 16,000 servers. Okay, and these clusters will provide resources as per the requirement from the client. Let's take an example. It's a 512 GB of RAM, right? So in this case, this specific resources would have provisioned at least from I'm just giving an example, at least 6 servers. These resources would have pulled up from at least 6 servers and provisioned to this machine, which means what? All these physical servers are logically interconnected. We call it as logical resources. From this group of servers, physical servers, 512 GB of RAM would be provisioned to this user, and also 2 petabytes of storage would be provisioned from 6 or more storage servers. Yeah, this is about resource pooling, and you can use a pool of resources in cloud for rapid elasticity. Yeah, to understand this again, I'm going to take a different example. Let's take a user. Take a user called David. Okay, David wants to start a business. So what he does, he purchases a server from Azure, and initially he purchased a server with 2 virtual CPUs and 4 GB of RAM. And this business was running like more than 6 months, and the requirements from the clients were high. So what he did, he increased his resources like this within the same machine. So what David has done is he increased the resource from 2 CPU to 4 CPU and 4 GB of RAM to 8 GB of RAM. This is called a rapid elasticity, which means whenever a client needs a resource, you no need to wait for someone's approval, or you no need to wait um, for somebody to procure resources and then finally get an approval, perform a change management, anything as such, right? So as a user, if he is the user, if he is a decision maker, he can go ahead and do it anytime he needs. It's like this. We use a technical terminology called scale up and scale down. This comes under vertical scaling. So here I have divided like 2 sections here, and this goes like this: vertical scaling, where a user can scale up whenever he needs resources, and a user can also scale down whenever you don't need the additional resources. He can come back anytime to 2 CPUs, 4 GB of RAM. This is called scale up or scale down. Okay, now we also have something called Horizontal scaling. What is horizontal scaling? So whenever let's say David did a business like more than 2 years, and he wanted to expand his businesses in USA. Okay, and he's not going to run his businesses with just 4 CPUs and 8 GBs RAM. He's going to extend his boundaries by deploying additional machines in different regions as well. Remember earlier we made changes to one single machine within a machine. Now we are adding multiple machines to satisfy his requirement. So this is called horizontal scaling. We use a technical word called scale out and scale in. And this is also called horizontal scaling, and this works like this: scale out, scale in. Okay, moving on. Bad. Okay, next one is measured services. So to make it more precise, I'll give a simple example. Like 10 years before, if any one of your family member is about to get married, so you as an individual family member would have helped like this. You would have taken a single responsibility. Maybe you would have taken responsibility of catering, the other one for decoration, the other one for inviting guests, other one for printing cards, right? So now we are in 2021. You no need to do all these things. There are third party companies like event management, right? Event management companies, they'll do end to end for you. What you have to do is you just need to provide your credit card pin to them. They'll swipe and they'll make use of your card, and finally will give you a bill to you. Okay, they'll give you end-to-end service ranging from picking you up from the home, picking you up from home, and then dropping back at the venue, and whatnot, like end-to-end services. And finally it's more like service oriented, right? So wedding as a service or marriage as a service, so they can provide you a service end-to-end. Same thing here in cloud. Everything there is a service: storage as a service, backup as a service, disaster recovery as a service, application as a service. And I'm going to bring some major differences between three major services like IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Right. So this is all about characteristics of cloud. Now, any questions, anybody, on characteristics of cloud? Anybody, any question? Right. Moving on. Advantages of cloud. Yeah. To understand this, see, first one, low capital expenditure and operational expenditure. Like 5 years before, yeah, at least 5 years before, if you want to rent a expensive car, let's take Audi car, AUDI, Audi. You don't have any options, right? And the only option left for you is you go to Audi showroom, and then you can take a test drive and drive about that car. Or if you have a friend who owns an Audi car, you can take for a drive and you can experience the car, right? So now we are in 2021, and if you want to drive an expensive car like Audi, BMW, Benz, so you can go ahead and rent it through many online platforms. One of the example is called Zoom Cars. In India, we have something called Zoom Cars. So you can just rent out a car, and you can use this car on a rental base. Let's say you want to subscribe for 2 hours 4 hours, 8 hours. You can subscribe and make use of it. Same thing here in a production environment. Let's take a company want to deploy a database at a large scale, and they didn't had any other option other than renting out a server, or they have to do it in a client location where again they need a high-end service to test, right? So there was a dependency of physical service. Now you don't need to invest huge on physical servers, and you don't need to take there are a lot of things, right? Like you don't need to take space, you don't need to spend cost on cooling, you don't need to spend cost on electricity, you don't need to do all this, you don't need to set up data center on the whole. And you have something called on demand service. You have something called spot instances. You have something called dedicated service. So there is something called reserved instances. So based on your expectations, so you can subscribe to a server or an instance in cloud, and you pay only for the number of hours you used. To be more specific, in cloud the minimum billing is 1 minute and the maximum billing is 31 days. Which means what? You no need to use a machine for an hour. If you want to test something, you want to finish it in 30 minutes, you can do it. You can just subscribe to this machine and then deploy and then log in and test it. And the best thing is there is a ready-made application available to you. Let's take you want to test an Oracle database, right? In cloud, you have a machine image with the Oracle application pre-installed, and you just need to deploy that machine, and you need to apply your Oracle DB license, and also there is one more costing for CPU, memory, storage, and networking usage. Here we don't have networking usage. There's something called public IP usage. So you'll end up in paying cost for the virtual machine and the application which you used. Example, have a look into this. Let's take I want to deploy an Oracle machine. So we have something called marketplace. So kindly have a look into this. Under marketplace, let's take I want to use a DB 12.2. So there is a ready-made machine is available to you. It's here. The only thing you got to do is bring your own license and just apply it. When I click on create, see now what happens. It's going to deploy a virtual machine. In this machine, there is already this application is installed. So you will save a lot of time on installing and configuring this database. There will be a minimal configuration, yes, but you'll definitely save time on installation. Moving on, centralized management. Yes, if you ask me, guys, someone is unmuted. Can you keep yourself on mute? Okay, I just kept you on mute. It's Oletan Odufua. Please, guys, don't unmute yourself unless and until if there is a question that needs to be asked immediately, or I'll allow you few minutes for you to ask those questions. So moving on, centralized management. There was a time like, let's take I'm supporting for a client called IBM, or product-based company like IBM is supporting for Siemens. Okay, there is a team. There was a team in the floor like this. Windows team, Linux team, Unix team, backup team, security team, monitoring, or whatnot, shift management team. So at least you see 10 plus teams, storage team, 10 plus teams, right? Now you no need of so many teams now. Let's take there were hundreds of employees were supporting a specific project. Now you can scale down to only 10 to 15 employees in a shift. Okay, earlier hundreds of employees were supporting the entire project, managing all those services in a physical data center. Now you don't need to do that. You don't need to hire hundreds of employees. You can manage with 10 to 15 engineers in an organization. So how this works? Because everything available as a service. So you don't need to have too much of, you don't need to spend too much time on SLA. Like you don't need to worry about uptime of those resources. Cloud vendor will takes care of uptime of those resources. We call it as SLA, and their cloud resources will have an uptime like 99.95% to 99.9999%. So there are different 99s. I'll speak about the high availabilities in some time, but definitely yes, you don't need to you don't need to have so many employees or engineers to support a single client. Have a look into this. See here, all services. I'll click on all services. When I click on compute, see here, all compute services in one place. I'll click on networking, all networking in one place. Storage, web, mobile, containers, database, blockchain, Internet of Things, mixed reality, integration, DevOps, migrate, monitor, Intune, others, identity, security. You see, if you ask me, there are 384 plus services offered by Azure, and all these resources can be managed under one single portal or centralized portal called portal.azure.com. For this, you no need to specifically learn a tool. It's just a portal. You just log in and just manage those services. So there's a time you need to learn. If you want to learn storage, especially EMC storages, you need to know Unisphere, and you need to know like there are different versions again in Unisphere. You need to know out of band management. You need to know ESXi management pages, vCenter management pages, then backup management pages, security management. There are different interfaces we used altogether, and we used to switch between those interfaces with multiple port numbers, right? And now you don't need to do this. All these resources can be managed under one single console. Next one is secured and faster access. Yeah, you can ask me a question, Bhaskar, how can you say that Azure is secured, and is there is any guarantee that Azure provides to me in case of data loss or data theft or hacking? Answer is Azure has set up a standard, or they have set up a model called shared responsibility model. To understand this, I'm going to give you a simple example. So let's call this is a national highway, and there is a driver who subscribed to Zoom cars, is driving with high speed now. As per Zoom cars policy, the driver should drive as per the restrictions by the road authorities. Let's take, he has to drive 80 kilometers per hour, but the driver who is driving this car is driving with the speed of 120 kilometers per hour. Okay, and this driver has verified few things before he start picking up this car. He checked something like this. He checked, number one, the fuel capacity. It said full. Yes, he selected a tick mark there. And whether it is clean or not, yes. Number three, and the documents, required documents, yes. And last but not least, he agreed to the condition, and he said yes. And finally he picked up this car, but now he's driving at 120 kilometers per hour. What happened at one stage? There was a minor accident when he was driving with high speed. Now some portion of the car got damaged like this. Okay, the car is damaged. Okay, here three parties come into picture. Number one, car owner. Let's call it as Zoom cars. Number two, car driver. That is, let's call David. Number three, car met with an accident with a person, third party. Person. Okay, let's call a person, right? Now, who is responsible for the damages? Whether it is car owner's responsibility or David's responsibility or the person who middled in between. Can anyone answer who's responsible is this? Who has to bear the cost now?
The company, some cars.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
The company is the responsible.
You say that's company, so let's call one vote goes to company. Others?
Yes, Zoom cars owners.
Zoom, one more vote for Zoom cars. I want everyone to answer now. Can you answer?
I think it's a shared responsibility of the car owner and the driver because they had an agreement before renting the car in the first
Okay,
place.
50 plus 50. Okay. Okay, next. I need answers, guys. Come on.
It's a shared responsibility.
I'm hearing something called shared responsibility. Okay.
Yeah, even I'll go with shared responsibility.
Okay. Right. So thank you. Thanks for your answers. My answer is it's car driver's responsibility. What was the guideline provided earlier? You should drive in 80 kilometers per hour. And can you see a condition? He said yes, and he has signed already. So one of the condition is when you met with an accident, right? There will be a insurance for the car. That is true, right? But who was driving is the primary culprit who did this accident, right? And that's why car companies will deposit rupees 5,000. If you ask me, in India they are charging 5,000 rupees as a deposit. If you make any damages to the car, the minimum amount whatever you have deposited, that will be taken from your account. And also, now let's say it's a minor car. Let's think there was a major accident, there is a life lost, and definitely yes, the driver's responsibility. And anyhow, a company will claim that we are renting out, it's not our fault. But who will be judicialized? Who will go to jail? Car owner or car driver? Guys, can you answer now?
Car driver.
Driver.
Right. So that's what I want to bring that point here. Yes. So it's car driver's responsibility that he should make sure he drive in limits and he other the condition, and he's also is very much responsible on the front and return the car as you has received, right? So let me bring this up. We have something called Azure shared responsibility model. Have a look into that. I was giving this example to primarily to bring this page to you. I request all of you to look into this. I'm also going to share this link to you so that you can save this image. This is very important because most of the organizations are very much concerned about the data security, and they should understand how cloud vendors promises the security with them. Have a look into this. So I'll take So I'll take in this. See, in on-premises, everything is responsible by, let's take an example, IBM. They were responsible for everything because that is all owned by a single company. Now here comes Azure. See, if you are subscribing for infrastructure as a service, I'm going to speak about individual services later. So in that case, Microsoft Azure is responsible only for physical data center, physical host, and physical network. See here, Microsoft gray color and blue is customer. And customer is responsible for operating system, network control, application, identities, information data. So which means what? If there is a data lost, if there is an hacker who hacked the system, right, then Azure will not take the responsibility. Who has to take the responsibility? Guys, who has to take responsibility?
Customer.
Yeah, it's all about
Customer to IBM. Yeah.
customer. Yeah, it can be anyone, individual, or can be a company who subscribed to Azure services, right? To be more specific, a user or a customer.
But sorry, but this should be based on the agreement between the customer and Azure, I presume.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, this is a standard agreement for IaaS service. If you are subscribing to IaaS service, see here. This is Azure and remaining is customer. Again, if you are choosing a platform as a service, then you can see partially they'll support network controls, application, and identities. If you are choosing SaaS, then they are supporting operating system, network controls, application, and partially identity and directory infrastructure. Partially, you can see this. Right. Let me give this link to you so you can connect to this link. I want you to spend 2 minutes on this link. And Varun Raj, thanks for your answer. Option 2. Yes, it's a driver responsibility. Okay, guys, it's 8/6 local time. We can take a quick 15 minutes break and then we'll resume back. Hope it's all fine with you.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll resume back at 8:21, 15 minutes from now.
Got it.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
thank you. Break, we were discussing about shared responsibility model as part of advantages of cloud. And moving on to a deployment model, there are 3 type of deployment models available in cloud. One is public cloud, as you know, Azure is part of it, and second one is private cloud. Right. You can ask me a question. What is this private cloud and why people are setting up private cloud? Because people don't want to invest on physical data centers, and but still you can see there is private cloud applications like OpenStack still in market and it's picking up its own pace. So what's happening in private cloud? See, not everyone is willing to adopt to cloud technologies. If you ask me, all companies are not completely migrated their production workload to cloud. They are still using portion of their production services in physical infra or physical data centers. And there are companies who don't want to dependent on public cloud. Example, they don't want to purchase services from Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud because security is a key concern to them. In that case, we have an alternate option called cloud softwares. If you ask me, the most famous cloud software or a open source cloud software in the market is called OpenStack. You can download this software for free and you can deploy in your private network that is within your organization, and you can give access only to your organization members. Okay, yeah. Next one is hybrid cloud. There are customers who use combination of both cloud services. One is private cloud, other one is public cloud. Example, a user who can use vCloud Director with Azure or OpenStack with AWS. Why organizations are in hybrid model? Is there is something special? Yeah, to answer to this, so let's take a bank. Let's call it as HSBC. Here there are two people. One is employee of HSBC. The other one is customer of HSBC. Employee of HSBC will have access to HSBC network. Let's call it as private. They'll have access to private network. Okay, and user of HSBC or customer of user HSBC. Let's call it as customer. Customer also will have access to HSBC resources. Example, they can go to ATM centers, they can deposit money, they can withdraw money, and also customers can download HSBC app from the portal, and also HSBC customers can access website. They can download fixed deposit forms or account opening forms, anything as such. See, everyone needs resources, everyone need some form of a cloud. So in this case, customers who need access, HSBC can put all these resources in public cloud, and employees who need access to internal resources, they can put it in private cloud. Both are combined together. Both are combined together. It's called as hybrid cloud. Okay. Yes, that is all about deployment model. Yeah. Next one is types of cloud. To understand types of cloud, I'll bring one more story. Let's take David. So David, he joined to a company. Let's call it as Dell. He joined to this company, and that was his first day. And he finished the induction orientation, everything formalities as such. The first team or the first cell you're gonna meet is IT team. IT team will provide him a laptop. Let's call, they're providing him a laptop, right? On top of the laptop, they also gonna do, or they're gonna install OS. On top of this, they'll install required applications. Then David start working on it, which means what? You need hardware, you need OS, you need app for any organizations for that matter. So here, same thing in cloud. So hardware is called as infra, we call it as IaaS. OS, we call it as a PaaS. And app, we call it as SaaS, software as a service. As simple as it is. So any organization who want to host their services and manage an application, right? So everything they need these three major categories. Under this, there are hundreds of subcategories. Okay, but primarily it is divided into three. Hope it is clear. Any questions on deployment model and the types of cloud? Anybody?
clear.
Right. Moving on, cloud history. So before we jump into Azure, we also should look into cloud. So like when and where it started. It's all started from 2002. AWS was the first company who started giving them unused resources in their infra as a service. So it started in 2002. 2003, they have mentioned that we are moving services to cloud, and 117 plus services currently. This is current service. Initially, they started with only 3 service: EC2, S3, and SQ. These are all like cloud services, like virtual machine storage and query service. Okay, and Salesforce is also a company who started very close to AWS era, and they are started offering only one service, that is SaaS. Okay, so on the whole, AWS is the one who kick-started cloud journey. Okay, and I also want to bring one image. Right, so have a look into this, everyone. So this is a report from 2012. So here AWS leading the front, and you can see there were too many competitors in the market at that time, like Terramark, Savvis, CSC, Dimension Data, Rackspace, Watchstream, Fujitsu, OVH, Softlayer. So there were many companies in 2012, and Microsoft and Google are yet to start their offerings. Okay, so moving on to 2013. There we go. So Microsoft started offering the services in the year 2013. If you ask me, Microsoft Azure is 7 years old company. Now 7 years old cloud service provider. Okay, and Openstack also started picking up its face from 2013, and Google is yet to start their businesses. IBM was left out at last, and again, IBM is not a big player in cloud market now. And 2014, so introduction to Google. Google is like 6 years old cloud service provider. Yeah, if you ask me, market leader is AWS, second one is Azure, third one is Google Cloud. Okay, right. Right, this is what I just thought to give a differences between multiple cloud, and also want to show you this, the predictions for the next, yeah, next 4+ years, 5 years. So how a cloud business can survive till 2026. Have a look into this. Infrastructure as a service. Blue color, you can see this infrastructure as a service is this one. So you don't see much growth for infrastructure service. It's all stable, but there is a bigger growth for software as a service, SaaS. You see this? And more visibly, I'll give an example. Apps like Uber and apps like Twitter, LinkedIn, right? So anything you see, the app which you use very often in your phone, like WhatsApp, right? These are all, you see a significant growth. And apps like Uber Eats, and it's not there in India, but again, apps like Swiggy, Zomato in India, you see there will be a huge growth. And we should not forget there is something called true private cloud. You see this true private cloud, light red or pink in some kind of an saffron color, right? So here you can see definitely in future OpenStack or private cloud requirements would be high, because at one point in time all these cloud vendors will keep charging for everything. It's more like this: once you land in cloud, right, anything you use there will be a price. So people would also would be more interested to set up their own private clouds in future. This is a prediction from Wikibon. Wikibon is again like a company who provides statistics like Gartner. This I want you to look into it. Anybody, any question?
No, clear.
Okay, right.
Bhaskar,
Right.
can you give an example of true private cloud? What do we mean by that?
Private cloud, it's not true private cloud. It's I mean, they're given the name like true private cloud. It's like a private cloud market would be high. Example, if you have knowledge on OpenStack in forthcoming years, then you would be most valued person. Like how DevOps is picking up its market in public cloud, right? Similarly, there may be a requirement in the private cloud sector where they need a developer in private cloud. They may need a solution architect in OpenStack stream. The business model, the business model adopt to mostly as like it adopted to public cloud, right? Similarly, it will gradually adopt to private cloud also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've just named it true private cloud.
Yeah, just a name, that's all. It's private
Right.
cloud, that's all. Yeah. Right, so let's move on. Okay, let's get started with the Azure services now. Right, pricing and billing. Yeah. Before that, there are subscription. As you know, pay as you go is nothing but you need to pay for the resources which you have used. To understand this better, let me bring up my billing so that you will have a clue. Let me bring this up. See, I used sorry, hope it's audible to all guys.
Sorry.
Yes.
Hope
Yes,
you
it
can hear
is.
me. Right. So have a look into this. There are two subscriptions which I used with this Microsoft account. I used a free trial way back, maybe like close to 3 years back, and currently I'm using pay as you go. This is my current billing amount, and additionally I do have invoices for previous months. So have a look into this. This is my costing since many months. So this is like, I can also give a range like time span. I want to give it like custom period. So you can see my billing here. So 2018, 2,800 rupees, and this is in INR. So this is my every month billing. Okay, as I mentioned, the minimum billing is 1 minute and the maximum billing is 31 days. Right. Yeah, and a single user can have multiple subscriptions. Example, Bhaskar is a user, and if you wish to um, manage multiple clients, let's take you want to manage DXC, Accenture, Wipro, so you can have multiple subscriptions. So currently I have only one subscription, but if I wish, I can have multiple subscriptions under one single account. At any cost, one account required one subscription. It can be a free tier subscription or pay as you go. Free tier is nothing but a free account which is provided by Microsoft, where you can access Azure resources for a period of 30 days. In Indian currency, it is like 13,300 rupees. In US dollars, it is like $200. Right. Pricing and billing. So pay as you go, you don't have any restrictions, or if you are an individual user, you can just go ahead and subscribe. By end of the month, you'll end up in paying for 31 days. And there is also a purchase options from Microsoft reseller partners, enterprise agreement, and so on. And if you are a Microsoft reseller or partner, you will get like 15 to 20% discount. And if you have enterprise agreement with companies like Capgemini, Atos, IBM, HP, where you can get 30% discount on total billing. Okay. Moving on to support plans. As you know, any hardware or software which you purchase in the market will always comes with warranty, and along with there is a support as well, right? And here Azure makes money in support also. All users who subscribe to Azure services are not entitled for technical support. They are all entitled for billing related queries, account related issues, account block issue, reactivating account as such. But if you wish to start a technical support, then you have to start from a developer support plan where you would be charged 1,916 rupees, and for a standard plan you will end up in paying 6,000 rupees, and for a professional direct there is a 66,000 rupees, right? So this is very important. So what I'll do, I'll just give you a direct link so you can spend some time on this. I want all of you to open that link which I shared in chat. I want especially to look into this section that is called case severity and response time. Spend some time on this. You should know like how each support plan varies with each other. Okay, let me know if you could able to spend some time on the Azure support plans. And you can change your country. Let's take, if you want, if you are from US, you can change instead of India IN, you can change it to US. It will show you US plans. See example, I changed EN-US. It's showing the plan in US currency. Right. Right.
Okay, enough for me. Yeah.
Right. Let's move on. Right. Next one is Azure Marketplace that you have seen already. Example, we took an example of Oracle application being implemented with Azure services. Next one is GitHub. So GitHub, it's centralized source code or version control repository. People who have never heard GitHub, let me give an example. VM. So have a look into this. GitHub.com, Azure Quick Start templates. So GitHub is a place where you can keep codes. Example, JSON code. Have a look into this. When I click on Azure deploy JSON code, there is a list of commands here, right? GitHub is a Microsoft company. Microsoft acquired GitHub like 2 years before, like 2019, I guess. And if you want to execute scripts, example, if you want to deploy a virtual machine through command line, you can build a script like this and you can get it executed. So how to do this? You have to build a code in JSON format and then you can get it deployed. See, there is an option deploy to Azure. When I click on Azure, it will ask my credentials. So let's take, I'll provide my credentials here. It will navigate to the VM creation page and it will autofill required informations. You see now. See now, in this script, it is going to deploy one virtual machine with the 2 NIC card, 2 subnets and 1 virtual network. And there is an automatic machine size also selected. Next one is Security Center. See, Microsoft holds all global compliances. As you know, if you need to do your business in any country, first of all, you should other local policies or compliances. Azure holds 90 plus global certifications. Example, ISO 27001, HIPAA, FedRAMP guidelines, and in India we have something called MEITY, and it complies with all global compliances. So let me quickly show you this. Azure Global 90 plus compliance. Yeah, I was briefing about this. Again, I want you to spend 2 minutes on this because if you are a solution architect, you need to know which country briefs which compliances. Let's take an example. In India, if you want to do a business, right, you should compliance with this. Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Okay. Similarly, if you have joined outside India, you can check your country compliances. And I told you that ISO 27001, HIPAA, right? This is also in compliance. Moving on to the next resource, that is docs.microsoft.com. The one thing I admire about Microsoft is they have a documentation for all the services in Azure. Example, have a look into this. So docs.microsoft.com, under this Azure, so have a look into this. So these are the services which is offered by Azure. And let's take an example. I need a documentation for a Windows virtual machine. I'll click on compute, scroll down, there is an option called Windows virtual machines. I'll click on this, and let's take, I want to know step-by-step guides or step-by-step procedure to deploy a machine. Here you can see create a Windows through portal, and here I have schematic based briefing with each steps. Step 1, navigate here. Step 2, click on this, right? I would request you to spend again 2 minutes on this portal. Kindly open this link, all of you. Navigate to multiple services offered by Azure, and you should see a detailed documentation to help you on this. And once you're done, I would like to keep last 10 minutes, I mean the next 10 minutes to take your questions. And let me know if you are, let me know once you're ready, you are good to ask your questions. I want questions to be raised from outside India. Guys, how are you feeling about the session? Do you feel this session is informational to you? Are you learning something new?
Yes, yes, of course.
Right.
I would like to understand if you told me in the beginning of the session that we would talk about the difference at which kind of cloud is more advantage about the other, like between an AWS and
Right.
Azure.
Right.
And I saw the graphic that you showed me about the perspective that till 2025, I think. That is something, but I don't know if that is all the information that you can share
No,
with us, or you have
I
more.
have very huge information if you ask
Because
me.
I saw the Gartner Quadrant 2, and I can see that in that graphic that AWS is the biggest one, but in perspective, on the speed that is growing Azure, I can assume that Azure is coming really fast. It's growing
Yes.
and it's taking the market. But
Right.
well, just I would like to understand more about that, because I would like to understand which certification take first, Azure or AWS.
Right. Definitely yes. Not immediately today. Tomorrow we have a session, and I'm
Okay.
gonna kickstart deploying a virtual machine. At that time, I'm gonna bring pricing comparisons between AWS and Azure. Okay, and you also gonna see there is something called BYOL, bring your own license concepts. Okay, so we'll see. We're gonna see a lot.
Okay. 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 Perfect. Thank you.
Yes. Others, I need answers. Only participants outside India. So to to make you more clear, because your questions were limited. I'm getting questions from within India. So do you have any questions for me?
I think that maybe tomorrow we will have more, right?
Right, right.
Hello.
Yes,
Well,
please.
my name is Pablo, and I would like to ask you about the support that you need to deploy all the environment of the Azure. I suppose that you have to take a redundant internet connection, and about the infrastructure that you need to make a solution, or that someone requests you for a solution, for example, a new partner, a new shop, or what can I give it for that kind of request,
Right,
and
right.
what kind of
I
support
I
I have to
understood.
do.
I understood. Tomorrow you're gonna learn like how you're gonna connect internet to a virtual machine, and how a user can access, our partners or customers can access externally. Tomorrow you're gonna see we have a lab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, perfect.
Yes.
Well, I think that for me,
Right.
from my side, was clear, and well,
Yeah.
we're waiting for tomorrow. So
Right. Right.
thank you so much.
Yes. Additionally, I would also, if you don't have any questions, I would request you to, follow me on YouTube. So I have 70 plus videos in YouTube, and where I have provided videos in various domains. If you ask me, um, I am I have videos on Linux administration and AWS certified cloud practitioner, full course free, cyber security videos, and there is a Google Cloud full course free. Recently, I have uploaded a 12 different module. It's a complete course, like close to 30 hours of program is free for you. If you wish to learn Google Cloud, this is free again. And if you wish to learn like Veeam backup, and there are other things like VMware as well, like 22 modules. So I'll give you the direct link to you all, and if you feel like to subscribe, you can feel. There is no hardened rule that you have to subscribe. If you feel it's good, you can subscribe. Thank you. And I think somebody is just joining. Olaitan Udufua. Okay. Yeah. Meanwhile, I can take your questions. Is there anybody else? Any questions for me? We have 4 more minutes. Anybody? Anybody? Any questions from Indian participants?
Can you have brief again some other explanation on vertical and horizontal cloud?
No,
Bhaskar?
vertical scaling, you mean to say?
Yes. Yeah, vertical
Okay.
scaling and horizontal.
Okay. Right. No problem. I will see. You can keep yourself on mute. There is a customer called David, and he subscribed to a service called um, VM service from Azure. So initially, he built one virtual machine in Azure, and for his machine, he has set up 2 CPU and 4 GB of RAM. Okay, there were only 10 customers at that time. So over 6 months, the number of customers are increased to 200. So what happened is application, whatever applications or databases or the services which you was using in this machine could not able to satisfy 100 users. There were some performance issues. So what he did, he gradually increased the virtual machine size from 2 GB to 4 GB, 2 CPU to 4 CPU and 8 GB of RAM. That is within the same machine. Let's take, you built a machine name called VM1. Tomorrow I'm going to show you practically as well. Prior to that, I'm just briefing. When he has built a VM1, initial size was 2 CPU and 4 GB RAM, and as per the requirement, he resized to 4 CPU and 8 GB RAM. Now all 100 customers could able to view their applications, or they can view the content without any performance issues. And then the business has grown enormously, and now David business have 1000 users, and this minimal configuration would not satisfy all the users across the globe. So what he does is he starts deploying machine in different regions. Example, he has got customers in USA, he deploy few machines there. UK, England, Ireland. So it deploys multiple machines across Europe, US, Asia, right? Gulf, Australia. So it deploys multiple machines, and then this machine, I mean, multiple machine means what? So there are similar configuration machines. Let's call it as 4 CPU, 8 GB RAM. There are multiple configurations on individual machines. So these machines were providing services to all 1000 customers. Is that answers your question?
Yes, thank you. Now I'm clear. Thank you so much.
Yes.